right? So that later on they can use. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
definitely.
This session is being recorded, right? Perfect.
Actually,
Okay,
I'm in the,
so
okay, good.
yeah, so later on you can just go through the videos that is recorded by the GoToMeeting, and you can follow the same syllabus as well as, right? So this is the pretty much good overview regarding the syllabus. Now, as you can see, the idea is about we will first understand the fundamentals of testing, where we will deal with the basic term like why the testing is necessary, what is testing, why we need to do it, then some 7 testing principles that we can adopt as a good tester. So ideally we can just start from the scratch, as like we don't know what is testing, right?
Yeah,
So
Rana, maybe
let's
what we
go with
can
the
do,
basic one
assume that
for the today's session.
Rana, April knows little bit about
Yep.
testing, but Indra doesn't know, so we'll go very, very slow. Even this presentation,
Yeah, sure, sure.
instead of 10 minutes, you can take even 30 minutes, no problem. So let's make sure
Yeah.
she understand each
Oh
and every
yeah,
point.
yeah.
That is
Take go.
important.
Yes, take your time. Go slow.
Yeah,
So
we don't want to, we don't want to rush. We don't have, we have a lot of time. So because I understand that April has little knowledge in that, but Indra, you want to go very, 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 very slow. You take like 10 minutes in this slide. You explain what is that, and then we'll move ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So let's go with the basic one, the fundamentals of testing. You can see in the folder itself, I have designed my PPTs in that manner. Like the very first is fundamental of testing. Then the chapter 2 I have designed as like testing throughout the software lifecycle. So whatever the modules we have as per the ICQB, just follow the same. We need to follow the same. So let's start with the basic one, the fundamentals of testing. It's kind of a very basic introduction about why we need to go in the testing department, and how it will be quite beneficial to you whenever you are moving your career as a QA or a quality assurance person, right? So let's learn in detail. So the agenda of this fundamentals of testing is all about, like, we will understand why is testing necessary, why we need to do, what is the testing, the very interesting question and the basic question like what is testing. Then we can go for the ideal test process, like in the company, whenever any project is given to your all the team members, let's say what is the ideal approach any IT company is following. In the IT companies, one project manager or the project sponsor will be there who has the idea, like what type of application that we want to develop. Let's say you have observed some e-commerce website where the people just visit their website and just purchases online some shop. They will do some online shopping and those things. Like they will pay for it and they will buy and sell all the products they want to do. So simply, if for that specific website, if you can observe, the purpose is all about buying and selling. So that will fall under to the e-commerce website. Similarly, let's say some people are using only some like fee structure management, student management, attendance management, university management, course management, then that is fall under to the educational management system. So we have different types of application for the different types of purposes. So most often consider that for the every different project scope and the objective, we have variety of ideas that people comes in our that people generally comes to the like in the company or in the IT company, and after the IT company, the people just focus on the objective that they have tried to deliver. Then the project manager will act upon like what we actually have to do. So he will gather some team who can convert this idea into the real-time application, right? Let's say what is the idea about GoToMeeting? We can do the same in the Skype itself. We can do the contact, we can call to each other, we can chat with each other. But why we are moved on to the GoToMeeting then? Because it has some very good purpose here. We can share our screens. We can highlight our like we can highlight the specific area if I want to notify it. The best part is of the GoToMeeting is we can record the session. So people are moving from one application to another application as per the objective or as per the functionality varied from one specific domain or the application. So we'll see in detail why is testing necessary, why we need to do the testing, then what ideal process that we can adopt in the company so that my testing will go in the right direction. Then whenever we are doing our testing, what should be the psychology of our testing? Let's say if we are just driving our car, as a beginner you are just learning that how to drive your car, at the time you don't know like how to manage your clutches and all those things. So what you are just doing, like your mindset is quite different. But once you are just deal with on the real-time traffic, then you just get with it very easily. So it's the same thing. Like whenever we are learning our testing, what should be our psychology of testing, and we are actually applying our testing in the real time, what would be our mindset? So we'll see our mindset in the testing. Are you able to get the thing here, or it's like, yeah, it's okay, April, for you as well?
I can hear it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then testing principles, right? We'll see some 7 testing principles that we can adopt, so that in the company level, as a beginner, you can just get a clear vision. Yes, this is how we can go with your testing. Then the code of ethics.
Do you guys cover use cases and test
Yeah. Use cases, test cases, test plan, test strategy.
Indra,
all those things will be
you're
covered.
following him, am I right, Indra?
Yes.
Please feel free to interrupt anytime. We can take it very slow.
Yeah.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah, you can just raise the question at any point here, right? So
Yeah, sure.
just stand up your hand and just
Every topic you cover, Rana, what you can say, you can stop and ask Indra and April. They understand, and then we can move ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Then we can prioritize our test cases. Like even in the routine life, we have lots of tasks, but we are just like prioritizing our things, like which we need to do first and which we need to do last, on the basis of our priority, and that we need to do in a hurry. So this how let's consider in the company you are dealing with so many projects, let's say. So how you can prioritize your task, that we will also see in detail. So these are the agenda actually. Now we will deeply learn each and every point. So the very first is, why is testing necessary? So these are some factors by which we need to deal with the testing. Let's say the very first is software system context. If you can see, nowadays people are moved from one application to another application from the different purposes. Let's consider that in the previous era we were using the desktop application to do any work. We need to simply install our exe files on our systems, and it will open up one interface like the desktop application. We cannot use even in the World Wide Web or in the online or the website by internet connections. So that was the time where we were using the desktop application. Now people are just quite upgraded so many that we are using some web application, or even if you can see, not apart from the web application, people now quite handy with the devices, that people are using some mobile application and the devices to do that specific functionality or the feature that they are looking for. Right? So all in all, our software system context is varying from one perspective to another perspective. So sometimes it happens like whatever the software you are using, that software will not work up to the mark, or it will do something else that you are expecting from the software. Let's consider that. Recently, you have observed that, not recently, but it was the time like whenever you are using your Microsoft Office 2003, you are just saving your files, and you are just opening up in the Microsoft Office shoot of the 2003 or any damn version. Then later on they have launched the Microsoft Office 2007. And if you can observe, they have give the option to save your file in the docx format rather than the doc format. In the Word, they have given a control to save your file in the docx format. Now that was the issue, not actually the issue, but the compatibility was not given in the another tools. Let's say if I will save my file in the docx format in the 2007 Microsoft Office, then I cannot open it in my 2003. Right? If you can observe, sometimes that happens, like whatever the file you have saved in the 2007 version, that is not compatible with your 2003 version. So later on they have just launched some add-ins, external add-ins, by which you can convert your file in the 2003 format to the 2007, or 2007 to 2003, vice versa. So these are the thing or the challenges, like if we are just moving from one software to the another software, then people sometimes feel that whatever they are expecting from the software, it is not giving the control to the, Then the another factor we have is like causes of software defects. Now what are the reasons by happening this? Right? Like why the issues will be there if we are doing, or if we are developing our software, then what are the causes by which the software defects will be there? That we will see in the detail. Then we'll see what is the ideal role of testing and where we are fitting in our whole software development process, right? And how we can maintain our testing process and how we can operate it in the real-time organization, that we will see. Then we need to understand what is the definition of testing and the quality, how they are dependent with each other. Then sometimes interviewer will ask you a very interesting question, like if you are spending so much time during your testing, then how much testing is enough for you? Like how much time or how you will estimate your testing, right? If you are saying that I want to check or I want to verify something on my web application or the desktop application or on the mobile application, then how much time it will be needed, that you can't judge, you can't estimate that effort. So what will be the answer for this question, that we will see in detail in the today's session. Now cost of errors, right? Very interesting example here I want to give you. I can say that here I have one web application that is designed in the e-commerce domain, like online buying and selling, right? The e-commerce is all about like purchase something from online website and just pay for it, and just that product will be delivered at your home, right?
Yes.
So consider that I have one website named grandcrayon.ca. The website purpose is all about selling stationery items like pen box and those things, cartridges, links and those things. So consider that for this website they are saying me that we need to offer a free shipping over a $79, right? You can see that a line here, like you need to give the free shipping if my order total is above $79,
Okay.
right? So consider the scenario where any customer is placing the order above $79, and if we are not offering the free shipping to him, then definitely customer will never purchase this item or never would pay for it. Because if we are saying that we need to give a free shipping above $79, we need to offer him, else he will just move on some another application or the website for the same purpose. Let's consider the another case where if you are saying that free shipping over $79, so if for the below $79, let's say my order is below $79, and still for one of the customer I have offered the free shipping. Actually the case was above $79 we need to give the free shipping, but now somehow because of the system interaction or some coding issue that is done by the developer, or that is the done behind this specific logic, something went wrong on my web application, that for one of the counties or the state, even if for the below $79 order I have given the free shipping, actually it should calculate some shipping, right?
Yes.
And that is the major criticality. If in my order, in my production house, they will come to me or they will just come to the company and they will complain about like now how to get the shipping from the customer. Actually it should calculate the shipping, but now we can't calculate the shipping, we can't offer him a free shipping. So should I have to call him? So consider that if I will call the customer, should I have to tell him like just to give additional charges, right? It is the bad reputation I am marking for the customer, right?
Yes.
So these are the criticality that we need to understand and that we need to go for. So this is the cost of error example was there. Like consider the scenarios where you are just dealing with any money related thing, or we can say the business reputation thing, then what you have to pay if you just miss this such kind of scenarios or errors in your application. So we'll see that in detail as well as cost of errors. Then the very interesting term is here is like exhaustive testing is impossible. What do you mean by exhaustive testing? So generally to check your specific scenario or the condition with all possible cases, that is known as my exhaustive testing, or we can say the complete testing, right? So consider that I have to check my Gmail login. Let's say I have my Gmail screen where I want to check my login scenario. So how I can check that login scenario? Ideally, so as a user I will go in the positive manner first. Let's say I will go with the correct username and correct password first. You will just give a correct username of your registered email ID, and you will just give the correct password as well as. And if it allows you to log in into it, yes, you are confirming that yes, you are able to do, or you are able to log in. That is my one condition, we can say, by which I can check my login case. Then what another case I can do? I will try to do in the negative manner, like negative testing. Means
Capital or
wrong
capital
username and the
letters.
wrong password, right? Hello?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was saying maybe using capital letters and testing it
Yeah.
whether it still works or
Right,
not.
right. Then you can also go for some another third case. Let's say your username is correct, but your password is wrong. Then the fourth one is your password is correct, or we can say the username is wrong this time. So these are the possible cases by which I can check my scenario. Let's say for the login, only the login I am giving you example, and this is the method by which I can do my exhaustive testing. Right, so that we'll see in detail now, like why it is impossible actually. We only understand the definition of exhaustive testing, but why it is impossible, that we will see in the detail in the today's agenda. Then we'll see how the testing and the risk is dependable with each other, or how testing is generally a minimizing the risk. Whatever the risk is there in your application, you need to minimize that. And we will see the very interesting definitions. What is quality control? What is quality assurance? And what is quality management? So let's learn all this topic in detail now. The very first is software system context. So as I mentioned, sometimes whatever you are expecting from your system or the application, it will not behave in that manner. Why? Because it will do something else that it should not do, or it will not do as per your expectation. So ideally, our software systems are an increasing part of our life, even from the business applications to the healthcare systems or some consumer products. Right? Like healthcare domain is another department, then banking domain is another department, financial domain is my another department, e-commerce is my another department. So these are the another types of domains, or we can say, for this we have variety of applications by which we can go through it for the different purposes. So most people have had an experience sometimes that your software will not work as per expectation. As I mentioned in the in the conclusion or in the brief, whatever you are expecting, let's say you can do the same in the Skype. But why we have moved on to the GoToMeeting? Because it is giving me an additional control to highlight my screen, or to share my screens, or to capture my videos, right? So that is the additional feature that I can have. So software sometimes that does not work correctly can lead to many problems, like including the loss of money. I have recently given you that example. Let's say for the free shipping, actually below $79 we are not offering the free shipping, but consider that in my admin or in my production house we are getting some 5 or 6 orders daily, and we are not able to trace from where these orders are coming, by which condition. Then it's kind of a business impact we have, right? We are losing so many money. We can't call each and every customer to get additional charges for the shipping. Either we have to stop the specific case, or we need to find it or restrict it, or we need to do a quick action on it, because we can't afford a single order without shipping, which is below $79. Sometimes it will be a cause of time as well as the business reputation. Let's consider that if Facebook is down for 2 days, then definitely it will be highlighted in some online news channels and in the medias, right? Like Facebook is down for two days. What was the cause? How much we are secure, right? So these are the cases. Like sometimes if any issue is there, or if your server is down, or we can say if a specific issue is there, because of that it is not behaving as per your expectation, then specific that issue will impact on your business reputation, as well as sometimes it will impact as your loss of money as well as. And if you are dealing with some healthcare domain where the patients are dealing with the doses on the daily basis, like updating the doses of 2 mg and dose, right? So it sometimes cause even injury or death. So we have a QA department in the variety of domains. It can be in the banking domain where you have to deal with the money. You have to deal with the e-commerce domain where you also have to deal with the money. It can be some healthcare domain where you have to deal with the internal system management of the patients, right? Any doubts so far? Going good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then, April, do you have any doubt?
No. You saying the right thing.
Okay. Then, causes of software defects are there. Like as I mentioned, what can be the causes by which we are just lefting the issues? So actually, a human being can make an error. It's a human tendency that whenever he is working, cause of some pressure on his mind, cause of
Right.
so many fantasies going on in his mind, he will do some mistakes. Right? We can't blame it individual, like cause some personal problem is going all and all in his mind or in her mind. So which produces a defect, let's say a fault or bug in the code in the software system. So if a defect in the code or an issue is in the code is executed by the system, then definitely system will do something else what it should do, or it will do something that it should not do, or ideally it is known as a failure. And why such kind of defects are occurred? Because the severe time pressure is given to you, like you have not enough time and you have to let's say you don't have enough time and you have to do so many packaging to go out somewhere on weekend, then definitely you will miss something, like you have to either you will just forgot your brush toothbrush, or you will just forgot your some important like cheat or something, like right, that you have to left for your relatives. So that is the same thing, like even in the severe time pressure, if any developer is performing your task or a specific requirement that is notified in the requirement documentation, then it can be a cause of severe time pressure. He can't able to chase all the aspects. Then complex code, like it's kind of we can say even you don't know the recipe correctly, then you can't prepare good food. So it's the same thing, like if the developer is not able to understand what can be the exit flow by which he has to go to develop this specific feature, then that is also the another cause by which the defects will be presented. Then complexity of infrastructure, yeah, very interesting topic thing. Like in the complexity of infrastructure, in terms of they will not follow the agile hierarchy by which they can solve the problems. Like in the small company, it can happen sometimes, like whenever the developer is dealing with any specific task, and if he is facing some challenges, then he can't represent his challenge to some seniors. He has to Google it out and simply find the solution and give the patches to solve it, right? And whatever the solution he is applying, definitely it is not complete or 100% solution, because he even don't know how to solve it on 100 possible ways. So that is the complexity of infrastructure, where the people are not able to represent their cause or their error in a good constructive manner to the seniors who can guide them like how to handle the situation like this. Then complexity of infrastructure, after that the changing technologies, like as I mentioned, people were using the desktop application first in the previous now people are using some web application, and now we are moving on to some mobile application. So people are using so many different technologies nowadays to develop their application. Definitely testing is never dependent on any specific technology. It is all about checking your application as a user perspective. But still, every technology has the different challenges. Like it kind of if you are running on a heavy traffic road, then your driving will be definitely restricted. But if you are on a highway, you will go like a boom, right? So it's the same thing. Like if you have a variety of technology, then your testing will quite varied from one perspective to the another perspective. Like whatever the application that is developed in one technology, if the technology is behaving same, or we can say it results the same, and then the same application is moved on some another technology, then it can be a chance that same feature will not adopted in some another technology because of the limitations and the hurdles.
Okay.
Right? Then and or many system interactions. Like what are the another system interactions like? Environmental condition is another thing. Let's say sometimes if I will put my phone or the mobile next to my LED or the PCs, then you will get some toot voice. Like because of you are getting the call, you will definitely get some voice here, voice over, like you are getting the call. Right? So what is that? Like the radiation, like some colors will be stretched out on one corner. Then magnetism. Then consider that you have your iPhones that is running over the iOS 6 version. You know the version, right? Like the OS version that is compatible in your mobile, right? So consider that you have installed the variety of applications. Let's say you have installed the WhatsApp, you have installed the Skype, you have installed the we can say some games or some business applications like Word Viewer or something like that, right? Office Suite. Now you are upgrading your phone from iOS 6 to iOS 7 version. And whenever you are upgrading your phone from iOS 6 to iOS 7 version, you will expect that whatever the application that is installed on the iOS 6 version, like WhatsApp or Office Suites or Skype, those should also get compatible with your with your iOS 7 version as well as. And whenever you are just upgrading from iOS 6 to iOS 7, whenever you are opening up any Skype or opening up your WhatsApp, it will gives you error like this version is not compatible with the iOS 7. Then that's the issue, that compatibility issue or the firmware issue. That by upgrading specific OS to one OS, then it is not supporting those features. I have to download my applications again. That is the failure that I got, right? So this is the another things like a pollution can cause some faults even in the firmware or some influence or upgradation in the execution of the software by changing the hardware conditions, right?
Okay.
What are the other causes that we can have by which we are finding the issues? So we all are prone to do a simple human errors. Even sometimes the miscommunication is also another factor. Let's say you have observed in the routine life as well as you are doing something or you are saying something. Let's say even if here in our sessions, if I am trying to convey something to you, and if you will not understand it clearly, then definitely you will define that specific term or the definition in the wrong manner, or you will represent in the another manner to your interviewer, right? So the miscommunication is the same thing. Like whenever the project is there in the company or in the IT company, right, information technology companies, where if the client is trying to convey something to the project manager and the project manager is not able to understand what we are or what the client is trying to say to us, then whatever he will try to deliver to the team, like the development team and the designer team and the QA team, those will be in the wrong manner. And whenever we will go back to the client by doing some work, he will simply say that this is not what I am looking for. And this is how we have to do the rework again and again because of the miscommunication, right? And this causes the defects actually.
Correct.
Another term is like poor requirements. It is not always the fault of the project manager. Sometimes the clients are so much not clear in their vision that they will change their requirements so many times, and we can't conclude what the client is looking from us, right?
That's
So
why
that
you
is
have
also
an SOW.
Sorry, yes, tell me.
That's why you have the scope of work. The client is not supposed to come back and make those changes.
Right. So that's why what we will do, we will first confirm all our requirements, and then we will move on some testing and the development. Once the client is agreed upon some specific set of requirements. Okay?
Well, if the client makes new requests, then they have to expect a longer timeline for the deliverable.
Right. So that's why nowadays people are using some agile methodologies for the development, right? Like whenever the development team are doing some development, first the client will give some 4 or 5 requirements, and then we are acting upon those 4 or 5 requirements, and on the weekend or on a weekly basis we will report to the client to confirm those things, like this is what you are looking for, so that we can quickly fix it if any variation is there in his requirement. Right. Then another factor, as I mentioned, like working under the pressure such as tight deadlines or some budget decision from the client side, conflicting priorities, like you are engaged with so many projects, then you have to sometimes move from one project to the another project, like either you have to move from or switch from one project to another project. So that is another thing, like to chase both the project deadlines, you will not give enough time on a specific task. So that is another thing, like conflicting priorities is also another factor by which sometimes the issues will be pending or the defects will be presented. As I mentioned in the previous example, like complexity of technology in the infrastructure is also the another factor by which some issues will be there. And the last one is poorly documented code. Very interesting thing. Sometimes the developer are involved so much in the one common project, like we have a team. We have not an individual person who will take care of all the things. So consider that there are 2 or 3 developers who develop this specific application. If one developer is not communicating well to the another developer, then what happens? If any person is changing something, then the another person is not even aware about like what he has changed. And on the later on, without being aware to each other, it can be a chance that some few major things that should work, it will not work anymore because of the combined effort and because of the communication gap. Like it's like Indira, you are preparing something on a recipe, and then after you are just giving to the April, and what April will do, she will suggest like the taste is quite low, let's add some mirch or something like that, right? Let's do some masalas on that. So then after you will give it on some another person. So if the same recipe will be handled by so many persons, then definitely we have some like some thing that is quite unexpected. Right? So it's the same thing in the coding itself.
Yeah, those changes should be documented intermittently.
Right, right, and well communicated with each other so that people can aware about like whether should I have to change this code, and if I'm changing this code, then how it is getting impacted on some another module or another part that is done by some another person's code. Right? Right? That is another thing, like poorly documented code is another factor by which the defects will be presented. Then the role of testing, right? Where we are standing in the testing and how we are going in our testing whenever any project is given to us. So ideally, rigorous testing. What do you mean by rigorous testing? Consider that you are planning to go on some sightseeing on this weekend. So what you have, you need some checklist that you can prepare, like you need to confirm your tickets, you need to confirm your accommodations, you need to confirm your days, how many days you are planning for your tour. You have to confirm like how will be you will going for the sightseeing once you will land it on that specific destination, right? So you are just preparing a checklist so that your tour will be quite planned as per your defined days, right? So it's the same thing in our testing as well. As like if you have some thorough vision with the documentation, what you have to test, on which requirement you have to test, and what will be the ideal flow by which you can find your defects, then definitely that is very helpful to reduce your risk before we are going into the production, or we can say before we are going into the lab, right? So rigorous testing generally of systems and documentation can help you out to reduce the risk that are in the problems occurring during your operations. And by understanding those documentations like the requirements, the testing criteria, the definition and the logic of your requirements, if you have those clear from the start, then you can contribute to the quality of your software system. And also whatever the defects or the issues you will found, it will be corrected very fast or very early before your system is going on to live. So consider that if I have founded that issue of $79, like below $79, we should not offer the free shipping, then ideally we are minimizing our risk by finding the specific issue in our production house or before going on live or before making available to the final audience, right?
Yes.
So this is ideally the approach by which, if you have some thorough documentation, that will be definitely a good help for you, because you will go with your thorough vision, what you are trying to test and how you can test your application, right?
Yes.
Then software testing may also be required to meet some contractual requirements. Like consider that I want to ship some product, but as per the US standards and the US government standards, that specific country or for specific state, we are not able to ship our product, right?
Mhm.
So far what I need to do, if I want to ship my product to that specific area, though because of the US governors and the standards, I can't able to do that illegally, right? I need to find some another alternative, like I need to approach some FedEx people or some UPS people who can ship my order to that specific country, right?
Mhm.
So that is like a software testing sometimes may also be required to meet your contractual or some legal requirements that follows your industry specific standards.
Got it.
Then April, so far so good?
Mhm. So far, so good.
Okay, great. Then testing and quality. Like with the help of testing what you are doing, it is possible to measure your quality of your software. Like we can find a defects. If the defects ratio is quite high, then definitely your product quality is very bad.
Mhm.
So definitely you have observed in the routine life as well as like whenever it's kind of you are paying very low for the product, then quality will be definitely low. But you are paying very high for the product, then somewhere they will try to chase the quality. Right? So it's the same thing in our project as well as like consider that if you are finding so many issues, then your your people or your final audience will not put a trust on your application. They will not adopt it thoroughly. So what we need to check? We need to check two types of functionalities, or we can see the features or the requirements. One is my functional requirements, and another is my non-functional requirements. Now, very interesting two terms coming into the picture. One is functional requirement, and another one is non-functional requirement. So let's understand one first, functional requirement. Ideally, the functional requirements are those requirements who are the, or we can say, which are the core part of my application. Let's see if I want to deal with the e-commerce website, then my registration is my core part. That should work. Then login is my core part, right?
Mhm.
Then place an order with your product with enough quantity. Then do the payment with the Visa card, MasterCard, PayPal. So ideally these are the core parts by which my whole application skeleton is stands for. And those are known as the functional area to check or verify. Apart from functional area, what are the non-functional things then? Ideally, the non-functional is like a user perspective things. Like the functional is a must thing in your application, whereas the non-functional is just should thing. Like if it's there, then it is good for us. Like let me give you a good example. You are seeing some registration form, right? You are seeing some registration form on your application. Some people are so much handy with the keyboard shortcuts that they will not click on the specific field. They will simply use a tab key from the keyboard to jump from one field to another field. That is my usability testing, we can say. And that is fall under to the non-functional key.
Okay.
Let's say the website loading time or the response time. If my one website is loading so much fast than the other one, then I will simply prefer for the fast one.
Correct.
Because I don't have to wait so much time as an end user. That is also a non-functional thing. Then the compatibility, like if I am seeing my website on my website on on my PC or on my laptop, if I open up the same website in my device, how it will look alike? Whether should I have to zoom it to click on specific link, or it should be quite compatible as per my device resolution. So that is also the non-functional thing.
And of course
Clear?
you're doing, yeah, and of course you're doing this on every platform, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So this is all about the non-functional aspects that we can cover up. So functional is a must thing, as those are the core part of your application, whereas the non-functional is a reliability, usability, efficiency, maintainability, and the portability thing that should be there. It's not must, but yes, if it's there, then it's a like a cherry on the cake. It's like that, right? Clear? Any doubt?
No, this
We are
is good.
Okay, great. So testing can give you a confidence enough in the quality of the software if it finds new, or we can say the few or no defects. So if so far, if you are not finding any functional issues, then definitely try with some another perspective. Like you just go for some design issues or the compatibility issues. Like try to check your same web application with the variety of browsers. You know the browsers like Internet Explorer, Mozilla, Chrome, Safari, Opera, right? Right, so it's the same thing. Like a testing can gives you confidence if you are not finding any issues, or if you are finding few defects. On that basis, you can give a good
Product.
probability, like whether should you have to go live or not, or whether should you have to stop right away. So properly designed test that passes generally reduce your overall level of risk in the system. So by understanding the root causes, like why the defects is there, you are contributing to the quality. You can improve the process of your testing, and which generally turns out, or which generally prevent those defects from reoccurring. Like once you will find the way where on every routine day you have to face the traffic, then you will definitely find some alternative or some different way out, so that you don't have to face a traffic on a daily routine. So it's like the same thing. Like by reviewing or by doing good experience on the variety of defects with the similar projects, ideally you are contributing to the quality, and you are preventing your defects to do the reoccurring.
Yes.
This generally improves your overall quality, and this is our aspect as a quality assurance person or a QA guy. Then the question that I have shared in the agenda, like sometimes interview will ask you, like you are saying that we have to restrict the issues that we are facing, but how much time you will take for to restrict these issues? Like how much testing is enough for you, right? So actually we can't estimate our testing. So at the time we need to do quite diplomatic actually, because if we will say that I need only 2 hours, then without predicting, without learning the scope and the requirement document, we can't say it directly, like I need 2 hours to complete my whole testing with all perspective. So ideally, my testing and how much testing questions answer is depending on the factor like level of risk that is there in my requirement, including technical. If any technical challenges I have, then the safety and the business risk, if any, and the project constraint like such as time and budget. So these are the factors on which I can give a diplomatic answer, like cause of the level of risk. First I need to understand the requirement specification, then I will prioritize my task, then I will try to find the challenges that are quite technical or non-technical. I will do the functional and the non-functional testing, and I will, as I have to give or as I have to perform a best in the time given to me. So I can't actually conclude the time for my testing, but just let me know a requirement specification document. I will review it once, and then after I will just give you a revert back, like how much time I will need actually to do my testing. Okay. So testing is generally a matter of judging your risk against your efforts that you need, like how much testing efforts you need. So ideally, testing should provide the sufficient information to the stakeholders. You know the stakeholder person, like the person, right? Like the person who generally quite intermediate persons of the client, and we can say to the IT company. Like clients sometimes are not technical. They don't have a vision. They only have the idea. So they will meet some consultancies, or we can say that they will approach some person or the friends who can convert their idea to the project or the application. So the client and the project manager and the IT company, between them we are creating one bridge. That bridge or that those people are known as the stakeholder persons. So by doing the testing, we are informing those stakeholders person, like whether should we have to release our software, or whether should we have to hold because the specific functionality is not working correctly, and that is the core part of it. So let's wait for until it gets fixed, right?
Yes.
Then cost of errors, the same like recently I have given you that example of the money problem. Like if I will get a 5 or 6 order on the daily basis below $79 as a free shipping, then it's being impacting on my business reputation and the revenue. So sometimes my cost of errors may vary from nothing at all to the large amount of money loss, or even a loss of life, even if you are dealing with some healthcare domains where you have to deal with the patient's doses in mgs. So single failure, so generally a single failure can cost nothing or a lot. A software in the safety critical systems can cause death or injury if it fails. Let's say on an online trading system, if you are dealing with some online trading system, then it can be estimated $100,000 per minute revenue loss we have to face if we are doing some mistake, right? So these are the criticality as per the project. If it's kind of a 5-page website, then it is okay. If any spelling mistake will be there, then that is also okay. But if the spelling mistake is done in the brand name, then definitely it's a big impact. So that we need to understand, like if we are just not finding any errors, or like it's there, then what can be the impact of it? What is the cost of errors that we need to pay, right? Then exhaustive testing is impossible. Going good? Any doubt so far? Whatever the topics we have gone through, any doubt? Do you?
No?
It's clear,
April?
very much clear.
Okay, great. So can we go ahead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I mentioned, like exhaustive testing is impossible. What is exhaustive testing generally? As I mentioned, like that a login example, like to check with your positive testing, like correct username, correct password. The negative testing, like wrong username and wrong password. Then you are just keeping both the fields blank. You are copy pasting your username in the password field and just try to log in into your system. So generally, the exhaustive testing feeds all possible data combinations into the software in order to ensure that no untested situation can arise once the software has been released. So it is practically impossible due to the time and the resources, because all in all you have to confirm your features as early possible as you can. So you can't spend so much time or days on the specific features. You need to limit it once. You need to exit your testing once at one point. So it is practically impossible due to time and the resources. It's also not cost effective. Rather adopting the exhaustive testing, what you can do, you can prioritize your testing by the risk factor. You can use some testing techniques. We will see the black box testing technique and the white box testing techniques. Don't fall into the fantasy what is black box and white box. We will see in the detail, but so far those are the testing techniques by which you can do your testing very confidently and very quickly with all possible cases, right? Then base the testing on the risk, like rather adopting the traditional approach, like check the registration first, then check the login first. Focus on the most business critical scenarios like steeping, coupon, payment, and those, because login and the registration are quite basic level things. Even all the people or even the developer has checked that thing. But as a user perspective or as a QA guy, you need to focus on the most critical scenarios. Okay? Then, what is the testing and how the risk is associated with the testing? So ideally, we are reducing our risk by doing our testing. So testing is a risk reduction process, and the amount of testing performed generally depends on the risk that we have. How much my application is get failed and how much my application get passed. So here I am notifying the risk definition, like ideally, a risk is a basis by which you can allocate your testing time. You can judge the areas like what you have to test and when to do, how to, or where you have to place more emphasis for your testing. How much time you need for the specific testing. So ideally, A risk is generally by which you can judge on which areas you need to work it out more in detail and how much time you need to spend. So to do it very quickly, you can define the priorities. Like a priority must be assigned to each and every test or the condition so that most business critical tests are run first. And as I mentioned, the objective is always to minimize your risk. Right? Now we are learning very interesting definition here. After learning these three definitions, I will show you the hierarchy that is going to be followed in the IT companies for the QAs in terms of position, like where we have to stand out after a few years, right? So the very first is quality control. So ideally the quality control is a person who has a very limited set of responsibilities and the roles. What are those? The quality control person can't define his own testing process. He has to follow the testing process that is defined by the QA guy or the quality assurance process. So by adopting or by whatever the defined process by the QA guy, quality control person can follow or can ensure that my product is fit for purpose only. So the activity that is performed to ensure that whether my product or the project is fitting for the purpose or what, that is generally done by the quality control person. Whereas, who is the quality assurance person then? Who can define the testing process that can be adhered to, that can be followed to. Like for the e-commerce, my way of testing is quite different. For the educational domain, I can't do the same technique or approach to test my educational domain. Same like e-commerce. I need to use some other technique. Right? So the process that can be defined to test your application, that is generally done by your quality assurance person or the who has a good control over the logics understanding, declaration of test plan and declaration of test cases. We'll see in detail what is test case, what is the test approach in detail, but this is all about the roles and responsibility as per the QA and the QC guy. Then what is the manager? Like what is the manager role then? And who is the management? Right? So quality management generally responsible to choose the correct process so that you can ensure that your product is fit for purpose. So it's like combining put together QC plus QA.
Correct.
Right? So let me show you the good hierarchy here now for the company. In the IT company where we are standing here as whenever we are just as a QA. You can see my screen?
Yeah.
You can see the flowchart and the hierarchy and the roles. Okay, so very basic at the very basic level is the deployment manager who generally deploy your application. We are just getting familiar with it. Once we are dealing with the QC roles, I will just focus more in detail. But these are the another roles that is there in the IT company, right? Then engagement manager will be there who generally engage with so many people or the team members. Then the anti-admin, network administrator manager who generally deploy your application on the server, like make your application available on the test server or on the final server. Then system administrator who can fix your system related issues like formatting your system, installing new OS, installing new browsers, installing any tools that are supported in your testing. Then the business analyst person who will generally communicate with the client about the idea of the project. Now we are here. Then business analyst, right? That as I mentioned, like the communicating to the client or the idea. We are here now. QC, quality control, that I have recently said to you, who has a very limited set of role, who can adopt a process that is defined by the QA guy. So you can see on the top hierarchy from QC to QA, quality assurance. Then the JTE, what do you mean by JTE? It's a junior test engineer who can execute the test cases. and if you can able to write your test cases, then that is known as a senior test engineer. So ideally, what is test case? The term is coming into the picture. So let me just give you a basic overview about the test case, not the detail, but the basic overview, like to check your condition by which you can confirm that my specific feature is working correctly. That is known as my test case or the scenario. Okay, the basic definition I'm saying, not detailed, like by condition by which you can confirm that my specific feature is working correctly. That is known as the test case. So if any person can able to write those test cases, then that person is known as the senior test engineer. And if the person who generally execute it, whatever he has written, then that is known as the junior test engineer. These are the positions that we need to go for, right? Once you will deal with the course. Like so ideally you are known as the QC, then you will go for the QA, then JT, ST. You can directly jump for the JT as well as, because by enrolling this course, you can try to define your test case and you can write your test cases as well as, right? So they will simply notify as software test engineer, no senior junior, only software test engineer as a position.
Okay.
Then after getting some good experience, like 2 or 4 years, they will offer you the test lead position, then the quality lead for the 6 or 7 years. If you have some good knowledge regarding the programming capabilities with the automation testing and the variety types of testing, not only the manual testing, but some other branches of the testing, then they will offer you the software quality manager position. Then this one is the position for the developers, like software engineer, junior level, software engineer of senior level. Then the technical lead who can deal with the quality lead as well as software developer leads. Then the project manager, then technical manager, then HR, then OM, HODs, CEO and MDO. Those are management terms, right? Like management people who generally manages the IT company. But this, we are here. QC, we have to chase it like SQM by doing so many experiences in our own career.
Okay.
Now what is this thing? Let's learn the definition now. So even you both know, like the testing is all about finding the defects. That is a simple definition. Even any damn person can able to justify the answer. What is testing then? Just finding the defects and try to suggest those defects to the development team or to the people who can fix it, and we can confirm it. But it is not the actual technical definition. If in the interviews they are asking you what is testing, you need to construct your definition in the good technical terms. What are those? We have some 3 definitions here. From those 3 definitions, you can pick any damn one. You can see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the very first definition is like the process by which you can execute, you can learn, or you can exercise your software so that you can verify that whatever the requirements that you want to fulfill, it should be satisfied correctly. If not, you are just detecting the errors for those requirements. That is my first definition. Alternatively, what I can say is like testing is the process of executing my program or my application or my software with the intent of finding the errors. And the last one is testing is the process of evaluating my system by manual means. What do my manual means wise? You are managing your whole defects, whatever the issues you are finding, you are managing by some Word document or by some Excel reporting. If not, you will adopt some bug tracker tools or some another tools where all the people just log in into the specific tool and all the people can see the progress of your issues, rather managing your issues by documentations. Are you getting my point? Like it's kind of the tool where all the people can take came on the same platform or on the same track.
Okay.
To track the progress, rather doing the mail all the time and managing our formalities on some cloud or some Google Drive, where all the people just update the document and no people will get aware about it. So rather doing that, we will adopt some bug tracker tools where all the people can just log in into it and just they can track each and everything transparently to all the people.
Okay.
So testing is the process of evaluating a system by manual or automating means
Wow.
we are verifying that it satisfies specific requirements, right?
Yeah.
The continued definition is about like we are not actually executing the software only. Apart from doing the testing, we have some good additional activities that we can go for. Like we can plan our testing first. If our planning is not going as per our vision, then we can control it as well as we can choose some test conditions. We can design our test cases and then we can execute it. We will see in detail each and every phase. Don't bother about it. What activities we need to perform. We will see each and every phase in the fundamental test process. But so far, not finding the issues is only the thing that we can do in the testing. We can plan our testing. We can create the condition for our testing. We can design the scenarios. After executing those scenarios, we can check the results and we can evaluate the exit criteria. Now here another term we have. What is exit criteria? If we have the exit criteria term, then we have another term named entry criteria. So what is the entry criteria and what is the exit criteria? So ideally, in a simple word, if I want to say is like
Hello?
entry criteria. Yes, hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Okay. So ideally, if I have one exit criteria term, then definitely I have some entry criteria term as well as. So what is the pretty much very basic difference between entry and exit criteria is? Entry criteria is like when to start my testing, and exit criteria is when to stop my testing. Clear? In the simple words, like when to start my testing is known as my entry criteria, so that in the entry criteria I will ask some very interesting questions to my project manager, like give me some details so that I can continue my testing. I can understand the scope. So those will be done into the entry criteria. And the exit criteria, we will try to stop our testing, because testing is a ongoing activity all the time. We can't conclude, we never conclude like, yes, I'm done with my testing. So at one point, yes, at one point I have some good confidence that yes, this is quite acceptable. It is quite acceptable for the final audience as well as. So that is the stage where I can take the decision when to stop my testing. And that is known as my evaluating my exit criteria. Once I will exit my testing, I need to report my testing process with all perspective, like on which OS or in which browser I have done my testing. And we are finalizing by reporting it or by submitting all our details that we have done or efforts that we have applied on some documentation to our seniors or our leads. So testing also includes sometimes like reviewing your documents. So reviewing your documents or doing some meetings, it is generally known as the static analysis, right? The term that like you are doing the reviews, like you are learning or you are just learning from the documentations, you are doing the physical meetings, stand-up meetings, those will be called up as a static analysis, right? Okay. So as you know, the common objective of the testing are like finding the defects. We are gaining the confidence about the level of quality that I have. Then providing information for the decision making, like whether should we have to go live. If yes, then why and how much. If not, then why and on what are the basic critical tasks that we need to take care first. Ideally, we are preventing the defects. So different viewpoints in the testing take different objectives into the account. Let's say we have the term named development testing. What do you mean by development testing? So ideally, consider that it's a combination of three terms: component testing, integration testing, and the system testing. Now let me give you a very good example here for each and every term. The component testing is all about, let's say login is my one component, registration is my one component, forgot password is my one component or a feature. So if I will do my testing for the specific component or the feature, then that type of testing is known as my component testing. Now if you can see, without registration, any user can't able to log in, right? So that is quite dependable thing. Like without registration,
So is it
no
like
people can
testing, I'm sorry, is it like
Yes, tell.
checking how they work together?
yes, so it's kind of known as the integration testing. And the final one is to check your same flow and the features on the variety of browsers OS and the platforms. That is known as my system testing. Right? And always the main objective is to cause as many failures as you can, and you can find the defects after that. So software identified correctly, and you can fix it on time before going on to the live into the production house. Right, so this is much pretty good overview regarding the testing fundamentals. Later on we will also go for some definitions and the fundamental process. It is quite a big topic, or it's kind of not a one-day thing. We will go very slowly as it's a start only, right? So I'm trying to plan to hold a session today, right? Just let me know if it's on to today's session, how it goes for you, and whether you can able to like go for it, like how it's like pretty much quite acceptable for you. From my side, I have just given my best to convey my things that I know as per my knowledge. So how it goes from your end, just let me know, please.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead, April.
No, everything is, you brought back a lot of memories. So everything looks good. I mean, I've just been out of the loop since, actually, I haven't done any testing since 2010. So, okay. But everything that you went over, I mean, I remember very well, you know, how critical it is for good documentation, the purpose of testing. And where I worked at, I was actually the person doing the use cases and the test cases for a while, and it was kind of weird. But I worked very closely with the developers, and I mean, you know, it brought back, everything started coming back when you went through this first phase of the training.
Right, right. So I guess for the April, you have just brush up all the things, right?
Yes, I just, you know what though, a lot of my testing was done manually because I was in a small company and they would not spend the money to invest in automated tools, testing tools.
Right, right, right. So that's the time we need to go for some alternative like open source tools that is quite freely available, like Selenium, I guess, if you have heard this name. Okay.
So that's why I told you I was rusty, because you know I've only used automated tools once, and it was like for a brief period, and then the next job was completely manual.
Okay, okay, great. So so far I guess you will here on a right track. We will brush up all your manual testing, and then we will jump on the quality center tool, right? It is a test management tool, I guess, if you have heard this name. Quality Center, HP Quality Center. Now let me write it down so that you can also do some R&D on this, if you can find out some way, at least. It's kind of a test management tool. And we will go for some Selenium, or either we can go for some HP QTP. QTP stands for Quick Test Professional. That is my automation tool. As you suggested, April, like you are most often deal with the manual testing, and you want to go for the automation. So this is gives you a vision to do your automation testing. So both are like automation tool, right? So you can do some R&D and just research on it. We are definitely going to cover this one. Either we can go for the HP QTP, or either we can go for the Selenium. But ideally, HP QTP is quite paid. It's kind of a license we need to purchase for it, and company can't afford that license nowadays. So we will go for the Selenium if you will suggest or recommend to me. So it's up to you, dear, up to both of you. You can just come up with your solution, like which one we have to go for. Selenium is quite open source. We don't have to pay anything for it.
Yeah, but which one is
more in demand, right?
Used in the market.
Yeah. Both are quite popular.
Oh, okay.
But as per the company, if company can't able to afford that QTP, then definitely we need to go for the Selenium, because we don't have to pay a single penny for Selenium.
Okay.
That is the best advantage of Selenium. But if you are going for the QTP, you need to pay something for it, like in the license of 1 lakh or something like. It's in a lakh rupees, in a rupees lakh.
Okay. And I have one question. If we
Right.
happen to go with Selenium in a
Right.
later stage, adopting this HP QTP, will it be easier, or are they altogether two different automation tools?
No, the core person will be purpose is always common to do the automation. All in all, the platform and the GUI and the interface will be different,
Okay.
right? The
So,
idea is behind is to do the automation, so that is okay. You can go of any one tool. You can even go for the both of them. Like for the QTP, let's say we will go only the basic introduction, but for the Selenium we will go into the deep with the practicals.
okay. Okay. And
Yes, Indira, any suggestions for us?
It's Sagar Kumar here. I want to just add up one thing. Like end of the day, like it's QTP. Like they don't want to worry about whether the company can afford QTP or something like, because they are going to work in a company, right? It's not like they are going to have a company. Yeah. So end of the day, so April or Indra, like simple. Like it goes like this. If learning the QTP is really matters, because a lot of openings will come in QTP automation. Yes, Selenium is
so
okay.
that's the same thing. Like
learning Selenium is not,
right?
Yeah, learning Selenium is not going to affect you at any point. It's always an added value to your resume. So once like a recruiter is going to just like look into your resume, and he sees like you know about QTP, and as well as Selenium, obviously the weightage will be given to you. So next thing is, you can titrate your resume in both the ways. You can open, you can really approach for